Good afternoon, everybody. It's Tom Christie back in the carving shop, and this will be session 5 of carving a hen shoveler decoy. In the previous sessions, if you missed those 4, we've got the head ready to go. We've got the body roughed out, and in this session, we'll finish the carving, the detailed carving on the body, get the head assembled, hopefully get it sealed up and primed and ready for paint. If you're enjoying my channel, please hit that subscribe button. It does help me out. It's totally free, but it is a show of support for the channel. This channel is being created for people that might want to carve wildfowl, whether it be decoys or other types of wildfowl. Some of the techniques that I'm demonstrating, you can apply to just about any bird. And it's all for the love of the bird. And that sounds corny, but it couldn't be more true in my case. So let's get going. Welcome back.
All right, I'm going to start things out with this 3/4 inch diameter cylindrical saber-tooth burr, fine tooth, and I want to work up here to define the front end of the side pocket where the wing tucks in right up by the breast. And on this side of the decoy, I'm going to have a full side pocket, so I can go ahead and carve this back to my top down profile and my side profile and get that at the proper depth. So I've kind of got the side profile carved in there, and now I'm just working to hit my top down profile. I'm going to carve in the front here and begin to round still working to define that side profile. Now I'll start cleaning things up and rounding up here on the back. So we get a nice soft transition out of that side pocket up and over the scapulars here. I'm going to carve in this lower area of the side pocket where it meets the water. And then round that into the rump. And then round the lower edge here. Now I can flip it around and start rounding the side pocket. Just going at this slowly, taking off a little bit of wood at a time until I get a nice curvature on the side pocket. I want that to be nice and round and soft looking. I've got this running at normal speed, just for your information. So now I've got that shaped up. I want to start shaping the cape here and a little bit of a V shape between the scapular sections on the back. So I'm leaving that cape area raised a bit. Those feathers overlap the scapulars on the back. So I'm rounding the edge of that cape. And now we can start on this side. There's a lot more sculpting to do over here. I'm going to start things out by defining that front corner like we did on the opposite side and where the cape meets that area. And and rounding from the center of the back to the top of the scapulars there. You can see I'm kind of going back and forth, and I do a little bit of freestyling on this type of carving. As my eye sees things, I just like to go to take care of things that I see. So sometimes that doesn't make for a real logical sequence. But now I've got that taken care of, I can go back to this side. And I think what I want to do first is define the upper edge of the side pocket feather groups and take the wing area down to a lower level. So not too deep, but we need enough relief here that we can do some rounding of those side pocket feather groups and make them look nice and soft. And I'll have to repencil some of my areas in as we go, as we remove wood. Now I'm defining that area that comes off and the wing feathers that come down. And now I'm cutting in below the scapulars here to begin to form a wing section here between the scapulars and side pocket feathers, and lowering that section so it looks like that those wing feathers are tucked in to the side pocket and under the scapulars the way they should be. Now I'm going to I'm using the edge of this burr to begin to define the tertials. And I'm going to carve individual tertials here. Not the best camera angle, but you'll get better views of this as we go. There's a better view of creating those steps where the tertials lie over each other, and now I'm taking the primary group down a level. So they're kind of defined. Cutting in that lower side pocket area. And just rounding that. Now I'm going to work to define these side pocket feather groups a bit more. So I'm using the edge of the burr to do some undercutting. And then I'm going to round these feather groups. I'm defining the back edge of the speculum there as it folds into the wing. And now I can begin to round this side pocket area. So I'm doing a lot of carving or sculpting with this burr just to kind of get wood out of the way and rough shape the sections of feathers. And then we'll go in with some smaller bits and refine this carving. Now I'm carving in the back edge of the scapulars there. All right, now I'm going to a little smaller burr. I have that rough carving done, and this is a 1/4 inch cylindrical burr. And I can use the edge of this to further define this wing as it tucks into these side pocket feathers. And I can use the end of this burr like an end mill to remove wood as well. I'm rounding those scapulars as they lap over the wing. And there I'm using the end of the burr to take material down and out there. So the wing looks like it's tucked into those feathers. I'm further defining that line where the tertials overlap the speculum here and where it goes into the side pocket feathers. Again, I'll give you a little better view here in a second. It's kind of hard to see the carving at this point. Then I'm using the edge of this burr to clean up the lines that I started with the heavier burr. So getting the tertials formed and the tips of the tertials there, begin to identify where those end. I'm using the end of the burr to take material out there to form the tail coverts area. Now I'm going to round the scapulars here and the tertials. And just kind of giving them a little more shape, a little more rounded shape to soften so that we don't have huge steps between the tertials. Those are very thin feathers and there's not a big gap when they lap over each other. Rounding the top edge of these side pocket feather group. And I'm undercutting each of those feather groups so that they cast a little shadow from above. Same here. So I've kind of got three groups of side pocket feathers there, and then the larger side pocket feathers at the back of the side pocket that come out under the speculum. Just using the end of the burr as an end mill to clean that wing section up. There's a better look at the carving that's been done. Now I'm just rounding the back of the scapulars here so that they kind of fade into the tertials. We don't want a big step there. And make sure everything's nice and rounded. Now I can work on this other side. This side is simpler. I've just got the scapulars overlapping the tertials here. And there's no speculum pulled out or wing on this side, so much simpler carving on this side. Right now I'm just forming the edge of the scapular group there, and now I can go in and use the side of the burr and define the tertials and layer those like we did on the other side. I'm carving pretty fast here, so you may want to stop the video, back it up, go little sections at a time. I've been carving for almost 40 years, so some of this comes much easier to me since I've done so many birds. I have a lot more confidence in the wood I'm removing. I still make mistakes, but experience lets you carve a little faster. Here's a better look at that side. Now I'm going to pencil in where I want the end of the tertials here. I'll come back and define those a little bit more. I use the edge of the burr here to cut the tips in. And clean up this area. Clean up the tail covert area with the end of the burr and fade that into the tail feathers. There's a better look at the carving that's been done. I'll do some more pencil work. All right, just a quick look at some of the rough sculpting that we've done. And you can see there's a little bit of a shadow cast under these feather groups, and that will help convey softness. This side is a little more the traditional side pocket. The tertial's tucked in, scapular's up here. You can see from the back, nice rounded shape. All right, now we want to work on smoothing things out and continuing to refine these shapes of these feather groups. Now I'm going to use this cone-shaped ruby bit, and I've got this at 2 times speed so that we can get through this a little quicker because there's a lot of repetition here. I'm going to use this bit to kind of clean things up and go over the entire bird, and also use the tip of the bit to further define things and continue to shape things up until I'm happy with the way things look. So I'll just show a bit of this from different angles, and just know that I'll take quite a bit of time here. This will save a lot of sanding time later by just using the ruby and going over the entire bird to finish the shaping and kind of pre-sand everything. The burrs leave a lot of scarring of the wood, so you definitely have to go over it and clean things up. So I'll do that over the entire bird and then come back. Now I'm going to use my 1/2-inch sanding drum with 150 grit paper and just use it to rough sand everything, and also use the edge of this drum to clean things up and kind of finalize the details. And again, I'll just show a portion of this, and just know that this takes some time, but it's very repetitive, so I don't need to show a lot of sanding. Just know that I'm using this sanding drum to go over the entire bird, get everything cleaned up and rough sanded, and then I'll finish things up with hand sanding later after I get this work done. You can't see a lot here, but I'm using the edge of that sanding drum to clean up the tertials and also the speculum. So I'll go through each feather group like this. And this is really going to soften the overall look when I'm done with this portion of the sanding. All right, enough of that. So I'll get that done over the entire bird and then I'll come back. Now I'm going to use this is actually 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to use that first to hand sand everything, kind of rough sand it, and then I'll come back with 150 grit sandpaper to finish up the bird. I don't normally go to super fine sanding, but I'll finish this up and then we'll come back. All right, I sanded the bird with 150 grit sandpaper all over, and I'm mixing up some DevCon 2-part epoxy, 5-minute epoxy. This bird is not going to be used in the field, so I'm not going to peg the head to the body. I'm just going to use a nice strong epoxy joint. Spread epoxy on both surfaces. Make sure we have good contact. And kind of rock the head back and forth to make sure the glue is spread evenly. Then I'm hitting my registration mark there for the head turn that I want. And then I'm going to wipe off a little excess epoxy so I don't have to grind it off later. Now I'm using plastic wood and smoothing that out with acetone and an old brush, and blending that into the surrounding areas so that we have a nice smooth transition. I'll let that set up and then we'll come back and smooth that out.
Okay, I think that's a good place to end this session. I'm going to let that plastic wood cure overnight, and then we'll do some light sanding, get the bird finished up, sealed, and primed, ready for paint in the next session, which will be very short. Just as a reminder, this bird is being made to be a part of the fundraising auction at the Ohio Decoy Show in Independence, Ohio, March, and I think it's March 21 and 22. If you can make that show, it's a fantastic show. Some of the best carvings you'll ever see come together. A lot of good people. They run a great quality show. It's kind of my home show, so I'm going to try to make it again this year. All right, until next time, Tom Christie signing out. Good carving to you.